welcome back to more of My Conversation. I'm Jason Hurst, and today another special guest who is a sponsor. Got to meet him last time. It was a pleasure, too. Michael Bogart of Aspect Ministries. Great to have you on again today.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, I know it's a very special month. You got a lot to talk about, so go for it.
Well, before we do that, I have an announcement to make.
Yes.
And that is that on Friday, I passed my dissertation committee and am now officially a doctor of education.
Right on.
So,
congratulations, Dr. Bogart.
well, thank you very much. It's surreal, believe me, after 4.5 years. But I wanted to talk this month about, this is the 500th anniversary of the beginnings of the Protestant Reformation, a huge shift in our history.
Okay.
And so last week we talked a little bit about some of the reasons why that happened. And I would like to continue the conversation a little bit this week.
Sure, we'd love to learn about that, absolutely.
Sure. So this week what I thought we'd feature is accessibility. Why the whole reason for especially Martin Luther, but some others, was that the people did not have personal access to the scriptures and even to God himself. The way that the medieval church worked was that the church hierarchy, the bishops, the cardinals, and the pope, pretty much were the ones that represented God through the priest to the people.
Okay.
The idea was that the people didn't have real personal access. And so a lot of people, as time went on, people became more literate, they could read, they were aware that there was a wider world. Columbus had just discovered America not too long before that, within a generation. And so they were aware of that there was a wider world. And so there was this push that people should have more personal accessibility to the scriptures and to God himself.
Right on. Well, it's fun to be studying it. I've read the Bible all the way through once, but I could always use a good overview every now and then, a refresher, because understanding it is not always the easiest thing in the world.
Well, you talk about overview. I just happen to have my overview books. Was that a softball throw?
I was looking at that right there. I'm thinking, I want to know what this 45-minute Bible is all about.
Well, yeah. So I have a book and a video version of it. The video is 45 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And I've tried to keep to that. The book obviously might take a person a bit longer to read, and it contains everything that the video has, but it also has 30 FAQs that people ask over and over again about the Bible.
Okay.
So I think it's quite a good read. It's even a pretty good resource book, and I actually have a Spanish version of a Spanish translation of it available for those that may need that.
So does that kind of go in order from Genesis all the way to Revelation?
I take the Bible in 8 sections.
Okay.
I take the Bible with the beginning section, Genesis and all of that, the Torah, and then I move all the way through to the New Testament and the book of Revelation.
That's cool.
Yeah. But again, it's quick. I mean, don't expect a lot of detail and depth, but it does give you the big picture of what's actually in the book.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
So, and then, we talk about the Bible, and, up until really the Reformation, the Bible was in a Latin translation, which became inaccessible as people no longer spoke Latin. So only, you had to go to school, you had to learn Latin. The clergy could read the Bible and then tell the people what was in it. But the people more and more were desiring a Bible in their own language, German or French or English or whatever it might be. So the very first English translations done by John Wycliffe.
Okay.
And back in the 1300s, John Wycliffe was the first one. You probably would have trouble reading his English version because it's old. But John Wycliffe was involved in the 12 and 1300s. And then a younger contemporary, John Hus in Czechoslovakia, translated into Czech. And then, of course, Martin Luther did his famous German translation as well. And so, and this really started the whole process that people now have the Bible accessible to them. And today, we've got the Bible. Sometimes I kick myself, I don't read it. And I've got it on my shelf, you know what I mean?
Well, I think about it, I think it was Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic is another language,
Absolutely,
right?
You got it.
The Latin comes in somewhere, which I'm not quite sure.
Latin's a translation from those languages.
Okay, and I get out the Strong's Concordance every now and then to try to break it down. Or what is it, the Blue Letter Bible?
Yes.
And try to find out what the words are. But something like that, too, will give you a little bit of a basic definition of what the words are about, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I would recommend this even though I'm the author. And you can get it at aspectministries.com. Ask for your 45-minute Bible copy, either the book or the video, and we'll be happy to ship that to you. Special this month, Reformation Month, is $10 a copy.
Okay, somebody like me who needs to read the Bible more as well. I'm just kind of curious. Do you write books like that? You have, studies like the ones you just showed the presentation of. How often do you read it?
How often do I read the Bible?
Yeah.
I try to read it. I try to read a portion every day. Yeah, and so if you do that every day, you can get through it. It's ambitious, but you can get through it in a year.
Okay, because sometimes a little obligatory, is that the word? Obligatory word. Before I go to bed, I'll read a verse or two from Proverbs, thinking that's good enough for the day. But sometimes sitting down and kind of meditating on it, like they say, is a really good thing too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes it takes a while to read it like 2-3 times before you really get the gist of it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and take it easy. If you take it in small chunks, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, that's good. This is always fun to learn about that. So next week when you come on the show, I'm just kind of curious what you'll be talking about then.
We're going to talk about who is the ultimate ruler authority. And is it kings, is it popes, or is it God himself? And
Right.
that was something the Reformers brought up also. We'll talk about that in relation to John Calvin and some of the others.
There are some big shakeups going on in the church, I know that. That's why this month is so important.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, really, history does repeat itself unless you're careful. So we need to make sure that we're people that understand what God wants, and you understand that from his word. And how are you going to know what he wants unless you read his word?
The number one thing you want people to take away from reading those books and those studies, what would that be?
From these books, that God is a great God. He's a good God. He's not somebody to be afraid of. He's not somebody that is always down on people. Our God wants you back. He'll take you back in a heartbeat if you want to come.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. So give us the information on how to get a hold of you one more time, where we can get the books and studies.
AspectMinistries.com. Just send me an email at mike@aspectministries.com. Let me know you'd like a copy of the book or the DVD. $10 this month.
Dr. Michael Bogart, everybody, of Aspect Ministries. Give him a hand. Thank you so much for coming on the show once again and being a sponsor, too.
Pleasure.
See you next time.
All right.